Alrighty, well, it is 9:30 here, which means it is time to start the call. So welcome everyone and thank you for being here. As a reminder, this call is being recorded. So if you do not wish to participate in the recording, please leave the call now, and the call will be uploaded to our YouTube. We also will upload the notes as well to GitHub. Just a reminder to also remember our code of conduct, which is linked here in the chat as well. We also post an agenda to the discussions tab of the PowerShell repo each month, where we build out the agenda for the call. This is a place where you can put any questions you might have in advance, any topics you want to be discussed. And also, we really encourage community demos. So if you have anything you would like to demo at the call, we facilitate demos before the call. So you can post there if you have anything you'd like to demo. And I think we have 2 awesome community demos coming today. One final reminder is that we are participating in what we're calling summer hours for this call, as we did last fall, which just means that we're going to try and keep this call to around 30 minutes. And then come fall, we'll be back to our normal hour-long calls. Great, and if you'd like to participate throughout the call, feel free to definitely use the chat to for any comments, questions, anything like that. If you'd like to come off mute, feel free to use the raise hand feature and we can facilitate that as well. With that, we will get started with the agenda. So I have the first agenda item, which is just a reminder about some PowerShell releases. One second, I think we've got some.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to mute him.
Okay, great, thank you. Last month, we did have 2 PowerShell releases, both a 7.4 release as well as a 7.2 release. I'll post a link to those in the chat. This is just a reminder that those are security patches, so if you aren't updating, to be sure and go ahead and update to those. In August, we are expecting to have a 7.5 preview release, so look forward to that. And one other reminder is that PowerShell 7.2 is coming close to its end of life. Its end of life will be at the beginning of November. I believe it's November 8th. So do make your plans to upgrade to PowerShell 7.4, which is our other long-term support release that is currently out. We are working internally with all of our different partners who use PowerShell as well to make sure that they're also updating with that cadence as well. So I think those are the reminders, and then I'll pass things over to Jim, who's going to talk a little bit about a change that's coming in the next preview.
Actually, before I get to Jim, Cindy, you want to talk about the 7.2 lifecycle?
Yeah, I just mentioned that.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I almost forgot it too.
So I'm going to start sharing something here just to make sure, because I'm going to do a very, very brief demo. If coming up with our next preview for is a change that a breaking change that was that happened because of a breaking change in .NET. In .NET Preview 6, the way environment variables are removed has changed. The .NET Core used to not be able to have an empty environment variable. That changed in Preview 6, and that had a trickle-down effect into our product. So the way you used to remove an environment variable was either remove item, or you could set the environment variable to a null, or you could set the environment variable to an empty string. With .NET 6, you can now create environment variables with empty strings, and the environment variable is not removed. So in the easiest way to go through this is to essentially just show you what's going on here. So if I have an environment variable like this is current PowerShell. Let's set it to string first. And we can test the path of envmt, and we'll see that path now exists. The envmt exists. If I set this to an empty string and do the same thing, we'll see that that variable is now missing with the new with the latest release. I'll just start it up here. We can now have an environment variable that exists but has no value. And we can just simply say that we'll do what we did before. We can see obviously that this guy exists. And now if I go and remove, and if I had used previous behavior to remove that variable by setting it to an empty string, we'll see that it still exists. However, PowerShell can remove this simply by setting it to null. And so if I set this to null, the environment variable is gone. We actually found this, we actually had some of our validation fail because of this change. So our tests sort of told us that something was up, and I had been tracking this for a while. So I was all ready with a fix. We didn't actually have to change anything in the product to make this work, which is really nice. So this is something that may affect you in your scripts and usage. So you want to be careful about it. We're going to certainly document it, but we think this is generally a good thing. Having an empty, essentially variables, environment variables used as flags is a very useful behavior. So we're very happy that this happened. As an old Unix guy, I was always dismayed by the previous behavior. So I'm pretty happy to see this. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer anything that comes in.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jim. Next up, we have Steve.
All right, I think I got the next two items, so I'll kind of go over this. Won't take me too long. So an issue that was raised to us a while back, and it took a while to fix, was that if you install PowerShell 7 on Windows using the MSI installer and you uncheck the box to not send telemetry, and let me be 100% clear, like we've gone through privacy review on our telemetry, and there's no personally identifiable information being sent. All right, but even with that, some people prefer not to send any data back to Microsoft, which is fine. But if you uncheck that box, and if you either opt into Microsoft Update to get updates, or using WinGet to do updates, or you're reinstalling MSI, that installer did not preserve that option. So you had to uncheck it every time. So if you're doing a non-interactive update, then it would revert back to the default, which is the send telemetry. So this is a problem. So we did fix this with the help of some community people to preserve the choices you made, specifically MSI installer. That way, if you run it again, it will pick that up and use it the next time. So one of the side effects of this, if it's not clear, is that you need the fixed version of the installer, re-choose whatever options you want. That will not get preserved in the registry to be used next time. But it only takes effect the next time you do an update. So it takes like 2 updates for this to be preserved going forward. Hopefully that makes sense. But this should be addressed now from our point of view. And I'll look in the chat actually, maybe I'll take a look in the chat real quick. Is there any question regarding this? Okay. So the other thing I want to cover real quick is what's happened to DCV3. So I am trying very hard to get a release out this month. There's been a lot of backend work across the team regarding release pipelines and stuff like that. And the release pipeline that I had for DCV3 broke. So it's been a challenge to get it working again, but I'm down to 1 issue, and I'm hoping I can get that resolved today and get a release out today. Otherwise, if I can't get it out today, it will be next week. There's been some good changes coming in. We are still targeting hitting like a GA around the end of this year. And I think we're on a good path. The only major blocking point right now is getting a compliant pipeline to ship out releases. So hopefully we'll get that out soon. And with this one, we should be able to I should be able to publish to the Microsoft Store. So I'll publicize that once it's working. There was a technical thing I had to fix due to how the store validates command line tools. So it was not accepted previously, but I think that's been addressed. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and just put it in the chat. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. I am just scrolling back up. Amber, are you on the call to talk about PowerShell gallery statistics?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, great.
So I just wanted to give a quick update on the gallery stats. Our individual stats pipeline was temporarily down. We were in the process of migrating, updating to new infrastructure. The stats pipeline is back up, so all of the individual package statistics are up to date. We didn't have any data loss at all during that transition. It just wasn't running, so it wasn't updating the metrics that were coming in. We do actually now have alerts in place to monitor the pipelines. If there's anything that happens, if the pipeline's not working, if something strange occurs. So I know in the past, sometimes the stats pipeline has gone down and maybe it's been a week or at least a few days before anyone notices. So now we should be alerted within a few minutes, a half hour at the very latest, to be notified that there's something going wrong. So everything is okay with the SaaS pipeline now, and going forward, hopefully we'll be a lot more proactive with any issues that arise. That's all.
Great. Thank you, Amber, and thanks for all your work there. I'm just monitoring the chat right now, and I think most of the questions about telemetry are getting answered, but I did see a question raised about the PowerShell container images, which have not been released since April. The reason for this is that we had to go under a major infrastructure change around the PowerShell build and release process. The most complicated of this was the Docker build and release process. So there have been, unfortunately, many delays in getting those releases back out. We do expect those releases to go out in August. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to do a release since April because of those infrastructure changes. See some more questions, but I will go on to the next item, and then we can come back to some questions in the chat. So the next kind of section of items is around some different conferences that have been going on and are planned in the future. So just last week, we were able to attend Tech Mentor, which was on Microsoft campus in Redmond. The team was able to participate in 3 sessions, one of which Jason was able to collaborate with James Petty on a session kind of like overviewing the history of PowerShell. Then the team was able to do 2 sessions. One was kind of a state of the shell, kind of like what's new in PowerShell, but a little more learning and demo heavy. And then we also did a panel Q&A type session. I know there was other members of the PowerShell community that were there, so it was really great to see you all and connect with you. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out if you are going to be at conferences and would like us to attend or collaborate or anything like that. It's always very welcome. And on that note, just wanted to plug 2 conferences that I know are coming up this fall related to PowerShell, or sort of events. One is PowerShell Saturday, which is being put on by the Research Triangle group. Phil, I see you're on the call. Would you have any interest in speaking to this? If not, that's all good.
Hey, Sydney, it's Mike. How are you? Mike Kanakis.
Mike, you're also on the call.
I was going to defer to Mike, so that's great too.
Cool. I was just going to put the link in the chat.
So it's nice to see everybody. It's so hard for me to make the call because my team decided to schedule a team meeting at the same time as a
Wrong link,
call.
Sydney.
What I wanted to say was we are having a PowerShell Saturday on October 5th and 6th, and we would love for people to come and join us. It's in the Raleigh area. If you are in the local area or nearby, you can go to the website link that Phil posted in the chat. We have a pretty great event planned. It's actually a 2-day event. We have a number of wonderful speakers from the community that are going to be there. We have Sean Wheeler, who's going to be there, Stephen Judd, Adam Driscoll, Jay Adams, Stevie Coaster, Frank Lesniak, and a bunch of others. We're going to do a deep dive Sunday with Stephen Judd and Sean Wheeler, going into some deeper topics than we can do in the sessions. We're going to feed people. We'll have lots of swag. We'll have lots of stuff to do. And so we would love if you guys could support us on this event and maybe come and join us. And if you can't come and join us, I would ask that you can help us in another way. So Just a quick plug here. Our community has never really recovered from pandemic times. Attendance for local events is still pretty down. We're down to what I know of as 4 user groups. James Brundage is trying to do something out in the Northwest, Andrew, Doug, and our group. And, attendance has been tough. And so if you can't come and attend our event, we totally understand. But we're going to have plenty of social media plugs. If you can just maybe forward a social media tweet, or if you could say something about the speakers that are attending, it would help get the word out to others who maybe have never been to a PowerShell Saturday. So myself and Phil are in the chat. If you have questions, or you can go to the website, we'd be happy to answer any questions. But it's going to be a fantastic event. Raleigh's a great place to come and hang out for a couple of days. So if you feel like coming and hanging out with us, we would love to have you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
It should be a great event. Another event that is going to be virtual this fall that I know of related to PowerShell is PSConf puts on their mini-con event, which is coming up in October. I don't think I see anyone on the call from that event, but I'm going to post the link in the chat for more information on that. That is posted on Gather, so it's a fully virtual platform and a great place to connect with folks in the PowerShell community as well. I saw one other question in the chat here that got quite a few votes relating to PowerShell storing modules in OneDrive, and if there's being any progress made on that issue. So I would say we don't have any immediate plan to change where modules are being installed to. There's no immediate planned work in that realm, but it's definitely an ongoing issue that we talk about. I think in many ways I could see it going more of a configurable path, and in PowerShell 7 we did add an API to determine where the installed module location would be as a step towards resolving this issue in a more configurable way. One note is that if you are having the issue with your modules syncing to OneDrive and that causing latency issues or other types of problems, you can configure OneDrive to not sync PowerShell files. So you can there is a setting in OneDrive to not sync any files that ended .ts or anything like that. So that would be one thing to explore if you, as sort of an immediate fix, if you are having those types of issues. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really complex issue once you start to dig into it. Sort of the different effects with so many folks out there using PowerShell and different versions of PowerShell to really solve this problem. But it is something, I guess, on our mind. Does anybody else want to say anything about that? Okay. Then we will move on to community demos. I think the first one we had up here was going to be about DSC. I will give you, are you here for the demo?
Hi, Sydney.
Hey, let me give you presenter rights so you can share and everything.
Thanks a lot.
There we go, I found you. Alrighty, you should be good to go. Yeah.
Thanks. All right. Yeah, a very short introduction. I'll keep this demo short. I was working lately with DSC version 3, and when I actually was working with DSC, I quickly found myself working more with PowerShell objects. So I thought, well, why not create a module on it? Probably a little bit ambitious with the naming, but it's something. And what I mainly wanted to focus is more on the authoring experience for people, and also have the ability to convert your version 1 and 2 documents instantly to version 3, which I created actually 2 commands for. So if you can see here, just a very basic a very basic example on a configuration which is in version 1 or 2. And when I run this command, you will see that it creates a JSON that can instantly be fed to DSC itself. So if I didn't screw up the demo. So as you can see, then it's converted to a configuration document in a format for version 3. So if you run it now with DSC itself, you can see that it instantly works. Well, that I'm working behind the scenes with also the adapter, so I messed up the demo a little bit. But anyway, that brought me to the next step and create a wrapper around the DSC resource command itself. And I was also playing a little bit around with the argument completers on it. So if you now say, for example, DSC command, which one was it? You can see the argument completers are already there. I'm still a little bit new to it, but it does it both for the PowerShell adapters, but also the resources that are available. Currently, yeah, this demo broke a little bit because I'm, again, working on the adapter, so I screwed up a little bit. So that was it, actually. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Yes, always blame the demo gods. Thomas, you also had a demo for today. You still up for showing it?
Yep, I'm still ready.
Alrighty, I
Yeah,
will grant you rights to be a presenter.
Yep.
Sorry, it always just takes a second because I have to scroll through everyone. Found you. Okay. Cool, you should be good to go.
All right, can you see the screen?
Yep, looks good.
All right, so last year I demoed back in April of 2023 my module called Any Package, which is the 1-Git or package management replacement. Basically what it is, it's an extensible unified package management interface. So let's say you have your Scoop, WinGit, Chocolatey, whatever, you can manage it all from PowerShell, all with this standardized command list. So it will do the translation for you and do all that fun stuff. And so what I've been doing in the last month is with the full command completer, predictors, and feedback providers, I went ahead and created interface for those package providers to allow it to hook into the command not found piece. And so right now, I have 2 package managers installed and imported. So I have the PS resource git and Scoop. And with that, they went ahead and now if I want to go ahead and say, let's say I don't have Vim installed, it will go ahead, find the command not found, query Scoop, query whatever imported ones they are, find those commands from the packages, and then return the results to the user. So now I can go ahead and select that. It also has a tooltip down here. So if you were to run it later and you were to forget what the recommendations were for, it will show you which command it has. So the one that I really enjoy is, let's say I don't have the start log commandlet installed. It's going to query PS resource, go on the gallery, any internal repos, whatever, caches all those results, builds a dictionary of it, and quickly returns the results. So you can see start log is contained in those, I don't know, 10 or 15-ish packages. So I can go ahead and install one if I so desired. So that's basically the demo. It's just a nice, easy way to, run a command. If it's not there, query any package manager that supports this functionality. Right now I have it in Scoop. and PS Resource Kit. So that's all. Thanks for listening.
Cool. Looks like you have maybe a question from James.
Yeah, question, comment, and bit of quick feedback. A, congratulations on finding one of the coolest trick areas in PowerShell, because command not found is overpowered and broken, as you have definitely already figured out. B, just in terms of being polite to everybody, if you are overriding command not found, please create a PowerShell event called PowerShell.commandNotFound and broadcast it, just in case anybody else is also wanting to override command not found. Otherwise, we're kind of setting ourselves up for a prompt redux. And C, to the PowerShell team, this is something that had kind of come up as we had talked about, the argument completers and the prompting that you've been doing. This approach is really fantastic and a little bit easier to use than requiring the extra installs. And it would be a good example case of where all of these built-in delegates should actually be events so that they can be more commonly used and commonly overridden and more securely used and securely overridden. So does that make sense to all parties? And again, underlining the compliment, congratulations on finding one of the coolest tricks in PowerShell.
Yeah, and James, this piece is using the feedback provider. There's a feedback type of command not found. So this is what it's hooking into that. So basically, the feedback provider on the command not found is triggering any feedback provider that subscribes to that, basically. And we'll call that.
Yeah, very cool. Really great demo, Thomas. Very cool to see. And this is something that is always asked for when we talk about feedback providers. Ryan, I also see your hand up. Oh, maybe it was an accident.
It helps if my headset actually, unmutes itself when I click it.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
No, I was curious from Thomas. You mentioned obviously the PS Resource Get and the other one. Are you looking to add like a local repo, especially for orgs that have their own modules and everything, internal only, and whether you can query those? And I guess I'm also going to be curious to see how you're querying for those commands.
Yeah, so this will work off of any repo as long as it's registered with PS Resource Kit. So basically what it's doing is when the module is imported, it creates a run space to cache those results, and it just runs find PS Resource Kit or find PS Resource on all of the results, and then builds a dictionary off of that. What would be nice, I think Sydney has an issue out there for caching PS Gallery and creating like a local cache for that. So I don't know if, in the future, I could go ahead and create a GitHub action to, do that once for everybody and then just download the cache file. But right now it's just building that cache locally.
So it's building it from the complete, PowerShell gallery itself, I assume?
Right. It's just calling find PS resource on everything. So if you have any internal repos, it's going to return all those results as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And again, I will also say congrats on finding an amazing way to use command not found. That's a big bane of a lot of our existences, I'm sure.
Yep. And then for the last thing I'll say is I have package providers out there. So I have about 10 or so right now. Justin Grody's module not found, module fast. I went ahead and created a .NET tool in the last year. And there's some other ones like Chocolatey, MSU's programs, so Windows programs. We talked about PS Resource Git, Scoop, WayneGit, PowerShell, and then on the Linux side, we have apt, Homebrew, and a couple others. But anyone's welcome to create it if you'd like to collaborate, or if you'd like to have any other, command not found integration. That'd be great to do. And I'll go ahead and link the repos as well in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the participation today and all the demos. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing everyone next month. I think we basically are perfectly right on time, unless anybody's questions got missed today. I'll pause for a second and just make sure we didn't miss anything. Looks like looking for a link to a working group sign up form. But yeah, again, thanks for all the participation today, and looking forward to seeing you all again next month. Thanks, everyone.